All right, hello everybody. I'm Brian, and this is AAMI News and Conversation. We're in the middle of Sterilization Standards Week, so a lot of exciting discussions occurring. But today we're going to talk about ST108, and we'll dive into a little bit about what that is in a second. But first, we're going to introduce our guest. This is Terra Kremer. Terra, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. My name is Terra Kremer. I'm Director of Microbiological Quality at Johnson & Johnson, part of the Microbiological Quality and Sterility Assurance Group. And I'm also co-chair of Working Group 95, which is water for reprocessing.
Right, and that working group, you just recently finished and published ST108, which is a standard specifically on what?
Water quality. We're really excited about it. This is a user document that's intended for healthcare facilities as well as single-use device reprocessors to really give them the information they need to have the correct water quality for the process that they are using it for.
So that's an interesting way to say it, the correct water quality. And I think when I first read the document, it talked about, describing minimums. Why do we need a minimum quality for water?
So water, not all water is the same. Right? Water is actually really complex in its chemistry, and depending on where you are geographically, the water quality can be very different. So whether you're in Alabama, whether you're in California, whether you're in New Jersey, you can see different chemistries in the water of what comes out of the tap, and that water can impact the quality of the reusable medical device that's being processed with it. And since water is the universal solvent, it's really important for cleaning. And so if you don't have the right chemistry of that water, it can actually lead to ineffective cleaning. It could also lead to damage on the devices or processing equipment. And so it's really important that we establish what those levels are, but they're fit for purpose for what we're using it for.
Okay, so this is way more than potable versus not potable.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Absolutely. There's actually 3 categories of water in the standard. There's utility, there's critical, and then there's steam. And there are quality requirements for each of those that were really carefully thought out by the committee for how those chemistries could impact the device processing. So it's really important to understand what water quality you're using at what point in the processing to be able to appropriately select the right treatment options to get there.
I got you. So can you give me some examples of consequences if the water isn't up to snuff, even if the process is perfect?
Oh, absolutely. In fact, we have an entire annex that has examples and pictures of where things go wrong.
Oh, wow. Okay.
So we can see things like pitting. When there are pH differences, you can see different materials will react different ways, and you can actually see the degradation of the material where that's a nice opportunity when you have little microscopic holes in your devices. It can be more difficult to clean. You can have soil harboring them. That's where you can get the buildup of microorganisms and biofilms. So it's really important that we make sure that those chemistries are correct. So pH is just one example. We also see things like water hardness. So if you've ever looked at your bathroom sink and you see that buildup of calcium carbonate that's right around your base of your faucet, the same thing can happen within our washer disinfectors, within our sonic irrigators. And when that happens, it actually is harder to clean devices. We also see that same buildup in and on devices, and then when you compound it with a sterilization cycle, it really, really gets hard to remove.
I bet. So who is the intended audience for this standard? Is it just the SPDs, the sterilization professionals, or is there an industry side to this too?
It's a complicated question because it's not just SPDs. So what we're finding is processing is happening in a lot of different areas. So if you think about doctors' offices, dentists, we see processing of reusable medical devices all over the place. My sister is a nurse. She works in a dermatology clinic. She has to reprocess instruments. They never
probably
go.
have a small autoclave or something.
They never go to a sterile processing department. So although the The intent of this document is a user document. We see applications not only for sterile processing, but anywhere devices are being processed, in addition to industry where they're doing single-use device reprocessing. So those individuals are also in scope of this.
Oh, wow. So, if any of the people we just talked about sounds like you might want to check out this document if you haven't already. I'm curious because we've seen the reception for this document has been really good, right? People seem to be excited about it. It's just more and clearer guidance for what they need. What's next, though?
I'm glad you asked. So, TIR 34
and
was
a technical information report.
That's right. That was the starting point.
Okay.
Right. So that was written quite a while ago. It had so much great information, but it didn't have really all of the information that was needed by the user. What ST108 is, it really separates that difference between what and how. So in the normative part of the document, you see the what, which is really like, how do you get to the water quality levels that you need to get to? So what are you looking for? How do you do an installation operation qualification of your water treatment system? How do you do performance qualification? And then how do you monitor it on a ongoing basis to make sure you remain in a state of control? The informative annexes took all of that information we had from TIR 34 that we didn't want to lose, and we kept that as informational information for the user.
Okay.
What's next is we need a document that really dives into what information is not in ST108. So what we found as we have been talking about this document in different conferences and podcasts and within publications is the feedback we're getting from the users is great. We love the idea of needing to do an installation operation qualification system as well as performance qualification, but we don't know how to do that. We don't know how to put together an interdisciplinary team that manages our water system. We don't know how to select the individuals or how to assess people for competency to make sure that we're not just getting a random guy off the street who's telling us we need to replace our entire water system. So the committee has decided to do a new work item proposal that we're starting, which is another technical information report, TIR, which is TIR 119. We don't have a name yet, so it's to be determined. But this document is really meant to be an informative guidance on how to do these things in ST108. So the committee is hard at work right now with task groups, writing up based on their knowledge of how to do these various things. And so we're hoping for an 18-month publication on that as
Fingers
a next
crossed.
step.
Okay, yeah.
But what you'll be hearing about is during this time frame, those individuals that are part of that committee will often be talking to users, getting feedback to really understand where they're struggling and how AAMI can help better.
No, that's great. And you know what? That sounds like a call to action right there. If users have information that they want to share or say, hey, I'm struggling with ST108 because of X, Y, or Z reason, they should be reaching out to standards@aami.org. We'll connect you with Terra or somebody on her committee and then get that information moving. Does that sound fair?
Oh, absolutely. And in addition, we invite you to join AAMI as a member and be part of the working group and the task groups that are actually drafting this document. Because you might not have the expertise on how to do something, but you're going to tell the people that do what you need. And without those users, we don't have a clear expectation of what we need to put in the document. We might just be guessing. So we need a really, really strong cross-section of users across the country that are going to tell us their challenges so that we can make sure we put it in the document. So I encourage them all to become members of AAMI and join the committee.
Oh, that's fantastic. You're saying everything that I don't need to say now, so I'm sure our users are just sick of me saying, if you're not at the table, you're on the menu. No, but so this has been great. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this up?
Just that water quality is a critically important aspect to make sure devices are clean. And when we think about patient safety and infection prevention, there's nothing more important than water. Water is our universal solvent. It is critical to everything we do. And so if you don't have a copy of ST108, I encourage you to get one and understand it. If you have questions, reach out and ask. We're here to help you, but really it is a really important document. We're very proud of it.
Awesome. Congratulations. Tara, thank you so much for spending time with us to
Absolutely.
explain this a little bit. And go get the document, everybody. It's important.
Absolutely.
All right.